Greetings, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking through Connected to the Classroom, audio solutions for all educational environments. But before we get into that, just a few items of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. This is the second session of two, so we'll be editing the two sessions together to make sure we cover all of the questions that are asked. So it might take us about a week or so to get it edited and ready, but once it's ready, you'll be able to view it at shure.com/webinars. Once again, that's shure.com/webinars. That's a great site to go to as well if you'd like to see any of our other past archived webinars or to see any of the upcoming webinars we have. So that's shure.com/webinars. Second of all, as we go through the session today, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the question pane. If you don't see a question pane and you're logged in through a browser window, just look for the circle with a question mark in it and click on that to access the question section. Or if you're accessed through the app, the GoToWebinar app on your desktop, just look for a dark gray toolbar with an orange box with a white arrow on it. Click on that orange box and you should have the access to the question pane. Type in any questions you have as we go through, but please be patient. We will be holding on questions until the end of the session. And then lastly, as you might be able to tell from our webcams, we are not coming to you from our usual controlled environments. We're coming to you from our homes as we work from home. So if we run into any audio or technical issues, please bear with us. We'll try to work through those as best as we can, but we think this information is too important to wait until we're back in the office. So that's what's happening there. All right, that wraps up all the housekeeping. Let's get into the learning. Take it away, ladies.
All right, thank you so much, Cheryl. So thank you everyone for your time here today. Again, we are going to be talking about Connected to the Classroom, audio solutions for all educational environments. My name is Vanessa Jensen. I'm responsible for market development of Shure Systems products in the Northeast. I'm joined by my colleague, Laura Davidson. She is responsible for market development of our music and consumer audio products. And we're really glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. So high quality audio to meet the demands of education. I think we can all agree on one thing, and that it's a new world, right? If you are directly involved in education, you know better than anyone else, from hybrid learning to remote learning to touch-free audio and social distancing. There are so many unique challenges facing educational facilities today. We're seeing that schools, universities, colleges are really adding or upgrading their teaching spaces so that they can provide that streaming and distance learning capability to continue to allow students to participate in classes and lectures but maintain social distancing, or to provide that content remotely via a video conference. So today, the webinar that we're going to discuss the following. We're going to discuss how we can improve presentations and discussions with high quality audio to enhance that student learning experience. We will highlight the considerations that should be taken into account when you're designing or implementing AV systems for sound reinforcement, distance learning, and lecture capture. And lastly, we will discuss how you can enhance your audio experience, but also maintain those important social distancing regulations. And just a really quick note before we get started today. So we're actually going to start off with a very quick overview of some Shure products, and then we will get into a discussion of how these products can be used in educational applications. So we hope that you'll stick with us through the product portfolio, and then we're going to jump into, as I mentioned, those room examples at the end. And we look forward to taking your questions as well, so don't forget to drop them in the Q&A pane. So for those who are unfamiliar, Shure is a 95-year young company founded in 1925 in Chicago, Illinois. At present day, sold in over 120 countries around the world. With 30 offices, 5 engineering centers, and 2 manufacturing facilities worldwide, Shure is truly a global organization. And in terms of the markets that we focus on and the customers we serve, you'll see here we have AV rental, theater, we have touring sound, live events, presentation. We also have broadcast, venues, house of worship. All of this, in addition to studio recording, falls in our professional audio market. We also have music making, content creation, music listening. This is part of our music and consumer audio markets. And then lastly, in terms of education, conference, presentation, corporate, and government, this falls into our systems integration market. And a lot of the products that we're going to talk about today actually do touch all 5 of these markets here. That's because they're designed to provide high quality speech vocal reinforcement. So let's take a quick peek at the product portfolio. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the SM58, which is in the center of the slide here. This is arguably Shure's most famous microphone, found worldwide on stages, used in gigs and tours. Today we're actually going to talk a bit about two product lines that you see here. The Motive family, including MV5s and MV51, and MXA series, so the Microflex Advanced series, including the MXA 310, MXA 910, and the newest addition to the family, the MXA 710. In addition to microphones, we offer a number of headphones, both wired and wireless, with Bluetooth and noise cancellation capabilities. These are designed really for critical listening, recording, and all of your kind of personal communication needs. In terms of wireless microphones and monitors, Shure focuses on these systems for performance and presentation in houses of worship, educational facilities, at festivals, shows, broadcast studios, so on and so forth. Today we're going to touch on Axient Digital, BLX, ULXD, and the newest addition here is SLXD. So really excited to talk to you about those solutions in a little bit. Wireless conferencing and discussion systems. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see MXW. This is a system that basically consists of wireless transceivers that can be used for remote collaboration and video conferencing. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see MXCW. This is a wireless discussion system. Now, we do offer a wired version, which is not pictured here, but essentially this is an extremely portable, very, very flexible wireless solution for collaboration and discussion. You'll see the base station on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. That features a gooseneck with an integrated loudspeaker. And that means you have no need for external sound reinforcement systems. This is a great solution for those spaces that don't have sound systems, such as a multi-purpose space, a cafeteria, a gymnasium. This provides for quick, on-the-go, high-quality discussions. And we'll touch on this as well. The Shure ecosystem. This is something that personally I'm really excited about. This was introduced at InfoComm Connected in June. Now, we've offered here at Shure input transducers for quite some time, as well as some processors. And so we're really excited to kind of round out or complete that signal chain with the introduction of the MXN5C. So in terms of our signal path, of course, we've got some MXA family microphones, so Microflex Advanced. So we've got the MXA 310, which is a table array, MXA 910, which is our ceiling array mic, and the MXA 710 linear array microphone, which is the newest addition to this family. In terms of processing, we do offer processing on board the MXA 910 and the MXA 710 microphones. We also offer processing in a software application form with IntelliMix Room. Now, IntelliMix Room launched at ISC earlier this year, and this is an audio processing software that runs seamlessly in the background on Room PCs and supports all of your soft codec applications. If you're looking for a dedicated hardware device for processing, we offer that with the P300 conferencing mic processor. And again, just to kind of finish out and round out that signal chain, we have the MXN5C, which is our network Dante-enabled PoE-powered ceiling speaker. Now you'll see there we also have a mute button. That's a great accessory that integrates seamlessly with this solution. And again, the Shure ecosystem is a complete end-to-end solution for all of your meeting, collaboration type needs. And we're going to talk about these components in a little more detail in just a little bit. In addition to product offerings, we offer a number of software components that actually complement our products. So Designer and System On are compatible with the ecosystem products that we just discussed. Designer allows for quick and easy deployment, and System On gives you the ability to remotely monitor and manage your Shure networked audio solution. Now, Channels and Wireless Workbench are more geared towards our wireless microphone portfolios and the professional audio market. However, if you are a university or a school district and you're located in a city or near a city, or you've got a large deployment of wireless microphones, having a tool like Wireless Workbench at your fingertips can be extremely beneficial. And really kind of before we review those products in a little bit more detail, I just wanted to give you a sneak peek at a couple of Shure installations in education. So on the left-hand side, you'll see University of Southern California. So the MXA 710 is being deployed campus-wide in addition to the IntelliMix Room audio processing software. I'm really, really excited about that recent installation and deployment. On the upper right-hand corner, you'll see we have QLXD, as well as an MXA 910 hidden in the ceiling there. And that is being used across the pond with our friends in the UK at the University of Bedfordshire. And lastly, MXCW, which we discussed a few minutes ago, is our wireless discussion system. This is being used in a German school district in a gymnasium for school council meetings. So again, all of these solutions here providing that consistent high quality audio for universities and school districts alike. And now that we've reviewed those markets of focus, the product portfolios, and the customers that we've served, let's take a quick discussion and look at these key products in a little more detail before we take a look at their use in various room types. And we're going to start with our ecosystem products. Now, the MXA 910 ceiling array mic eliminates the need for microphones on the table. That allows for touch-free, high-quality audio. Out of the box, the default template covers rooms that are 30 feet by 30 feet. With a steerable coverage that's on board, you can also steer lobes to capture audio anywhere in the room. For example, if you wanted to cover just the front area where your teacher or professor is, you can use the steerable coverage to pick up that audio in a very direct way. The MXA 910 is your top choice for touch-free, high-quality audio. And really, since we introduced that product several years ago, we were asked by customers, we were asked by the market if we could make that ceiling array smaller, if we could put that on a wall, if we had a solution for wall mounting. So we've put that same technology, that same mic array technology that's in the 910 in a new form factor that allows for better quality in more rooms. The MXA 710 is designed for small to medium-sized spaces, and the new form factor allows for placement almost anywhere in the room, on walls, ceilings, and tables. So very similar to the 910, again, we offer those default templates for easy deployment, as well as steerable coverage to capture audio anywhere in the room. Again, with the 710, you have very high quality, touch-free audio. The MXA 310 table array microphone is a great choice for high quality audio. It features steerable coverage with adjustable polar patterns that can capture audio around a table. This is a great choice for smaller study rooms or huddle room environments. And now that we've discussed microphones, let's move on to the next step in the audio signal path, processing. So the P300 conferencing mic processor is optimized for use with the Shure MXA series microphones that we just discussed. It features Shure's best-in-class IntelliMix DSP algorithms for noise-free and echo-free audio. It supports both hard codecs and soft codecs. And another key feature here is the industry-first mute sync with leading codecs such as Zoom and Teams. Now, IntelliMix Room is an audio processing software that again runs on existing in-room soft codec PCs. This eliminates the need for any rack mount processor. So very similar to the P300, IntelliMix Room is optimized for use with Shure's MXA series of microphones. It also features best-in-class IntelliMix DSP algorithms to provide that echo-free and noise-free audio. IntelliMix Room runs seamlessly in the background on your Windows 10 devices and allows you to unlock that professional audio upgrade by utilizing hardware that's already found in the room. Now, ANI-USB is a little different than the two DSP options that we just discussed. The ANI-USB belongs to the ANI or ANI family, which are essentially on-ramps and off-ramps to the Dante network with different inputs and different outputs. So the ANI-USB actually takes advantage of the IntelliMix processing that's found on board the MXA 910 and MXA 710, providing for simple USB and analog connectivity for all of your conferencing and collaboration needs. And just to kind of clarify those DSP options, again, here's a really quick matrix. I'm not going to go through every single item here, but key things to keep in mind are the number of microphones supported. So both IntelliMix P300 and IntelliMix Room support multiple microphones. You'll see here in terms of scalability, ANI-USB is again really designed for those smaller spaces with a single microphone, whereas P300 and IntelliMix Room can be scaled from smaller to larger spaces. The last key point of differentiation here is hardware software codecs. Again, key key differentiator here is the fact that IntelliMix Room runs with software codecs only. So again, it's running on that in-room PC. So all in all, the key takeaway here is that depending on your connectivity needs and your mic requirements, Shure has a solution for your application. And last but not least, to really kind of round out the signal chain, Shure offers the new MXN5C, which is our network speaker for high quality speech reproduction. This integrates seamlessly with Shure's ecosystem of networked hardware and software for a complete audio solution for your classrooms, your lecture halls, your auditoriums, even your smaller huddle rooms. All from one manufacturer with the ability to remotely monitor and manage your entire networked audio solution. And at this point, I'd like to move on from our ecosystem to our wireless microphone offerings. And I want to preface this section by saying that Shure offers a variety of wireless mic solutions for the classroom. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our top of the line, no compromise digital wireless system and move through the portfolio to maybe our more value oriented solutions. The key takeaway here is that regardless of your application and the number of mic channels required, Shure has a solution for your educational space. And we're going to start with Axient Digital. Again, this is our top tier wireless solution. We offer handheld and body pack transmitters. This is extremely robust, offers unprecedented signal stability and quality in even the most complex congested RF environments. It supports high channel counts with up to 116 systems per band. And in terms of deploying this solution, if you have a campus-wide deployment of RF devices, you're located in a city or near a city, choosing a system that uses spectrum efficiently and offers reliable performance can be extremely important. One last thing here, this is a premium grade digital wireless system. So this is where you simply cannot afford a wireless failure because of interference. This is currently coming in around $2,300 per channel with a body pack transmitter. As we step down to ULXD, this is also a really great, professional grade digital wireless system, great for medium and large rooms. We offer handheld, body pack, but also gooseneck and boundary microphone options with this series. ULXD supports high channel counts as well, up to 60 compatible systems. And in terms of pricing, this comes in around $1,300 or $1,700 per channel based on a body pack system and depending on, again, your receiver option, if you go with a single channel receiver or a multi-channel receiver. QLXD is really great for small and medium-sized spaces, great for training rooms. With this series, we offer handheld and body pack transmitters only. There is some flexibility in terms of the number of concurrent channels. Here we also have up to 60 channels compatible per system. And we have pricing-wise, this is practically priced. This comes in just under $1,000, so $999 per channel with a body pack transmitter. And MXW is great. This is another solution, a little bit different than the other ones we've discussed in that it operates in a different frequency range. But this is a great solution for flexible divisible spaces, lecture halls, classrooms. We do offer handheld, body pack, boundary, and gooseneck options, as you see here in the picture before you. Very intelligent RF performance. So all of the frequencies are managed automatically without any user interaction. And you have the ability to support up to 80 channels with the system. Price-wise, this comes in just under $1,600 per channel with a body pack based on a 4-channel system. And with that, I'd actually like to invite Laura back to take us through a couple of our wireless product lines, and she's going to talk to us as well about Motive. Laura?
Great. Thank you, Vanessa. And everybody, thank you so much for hanging with us. I know we're throwing a ton of information at you, but at the end of the deck, we actually have some QR codes for you to scan where you can find the information and dig a little bit deeper. But just to keep it top level, I get the fun job of introducing the shiniest new wireless system that we offer, and it's called SLXD. This comes from our SLX line and is now a digital version, and it can cover up to 32 compatible systems per band, which is one of the key selling points of this particular system, as well as the ease of use. So if you have someone who needs to use a system and have access to it, be able to do the pairing themselves where you don't have a technician who's going to be there full time, this is a great solution there. They can dive right in. It's right on the front menu. You can access it. It also has rechargeability options and many different form factors, and comes in at about $6.99 per channel with a body pack. So this is our latest and greatest, but ease of use and high channel count for a lower, more affordable price is what's really going to set this one apart. Next up, we have the BLX line, which is a really great affordable option. Comes in tabletop and rack mount as well, and is very, very simple to get up and running quickly. You can run up to 9 channels per band and get 14 hours of use from AA batteries. It comes in a variety of form factors, so you have the ability to have head-worn, lavalier, or handheld, as well as body pack. But this one is very simple. If you have an educator who's not ever used wireless before, this is a nice way to ease them in. Programming is the simple one-touch button, do a scan, match up your 2 receiver and transmitter, and you're ready to go. So great affordable option in the BLX line. And you can see it's recommended for small to medium rooms. You'll still get about 300 feet of transmission area, but if you want to have a very simple way of going, this is a great option for you. So we also put together a lineup slide which shows you SLXD through Axient Digital to give you kind of a comparison idea of what you're looking at for each price point, but also as far as the signals go and the channel count. So that's what's really going to up the price point as you go through the system. But of course, Axient Digital, as Vanessa said, when you absolutely can't afford to have dropouts, is going to be your best solution there. But we do make a wide variety of options for educators and installs. Anything that you need, we have you covered. So that's kind of an overview there. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about these guys that are right in front of me. So the Shure Motive microphones have been out for a little while and offer you a USB solution for all of your microphone needs. So whether you need to be getting into a mobile device like a phone or into a laptop computer, we have you covered here. So just to give you kind of an overview of the family, you can see the MV5, which is a nice desktop solution, has a headphone out in the back. Again, these are all USB solutions, so they plug directly into the source, and also some a headphone control in the back, and some volume control and some presets. MV51 is a large diaphragm condenser with some control directly on the front of the microphone, including mute, headphone, and mic gain, so that you can easily control that. And it's meant to sit on a desktop or screw into a microphone stand. This is really great if you need to have someone picked up from a little bit of a distance while still having that clarity come through. If you don't have someone who's super tech savvy, these 2 options are great for them because they can just plug and play and have their voice be heard, which is going to be key for this educational environment that we're all facing today. Next up is the MV88 Plus, which is a full kit that you see here. And this is primarily, we made it for video and content creators, but it's also great for podcasting, conference calls. If you're doing Zoom calls, this is a great rig for you to have because it also has a headphone out directly on the back. So you could set this up as your external microphone and be able to engage with your audience without having extra microphones, cables, cameras, etc. So it's a nice clean cut solution. It's $249, so really great for that situation. There's also the MVL, which is a lavalier mic that plugs directly into the headphone jack on your phone if it supports it. The MVI, which is a single channel interface, which is actually what I'm going into right now, allows you to take an analog microphone and plug it directly into your computer using that single channel. So I'm providing phantom power, and I also have the ability to control it directly from the front of the unit, similar to the MV51. If we go to the next slide, you can just get a little bit more in-depth information on the 88 and 88 Plus, which allow you to control the microphone using our apps, which are both free. And when I say control, I mean that you can actually select the polar pattern of the microphone. So if you wanted to go stereo or monocardioid, if you're a teacher, you want to put that on your desk. That's going to be the most directional option for you, and it will reject the sound coming into the rear of the mic. So a nice option there to be able to change it based on your environment. And then up next for the MV5 and MV51, the applications, again, very simple, plug and play, sits straight on the desktop, and you have that control at your fingertips. So if you're looking for a solution where you can monitor with the headphones at the same time, have something simple, portable, this is a great option for you. And again, that MVI is a single channel interface. So if you already have some existing hardware or microphones and are looking for a way to get into your devices or computer, this is a great option for you. Simple plug and play. On the app side of things, the Motive app, which I mentioned, that's our audio version and video version. So you can actually change up the polar pattern of the 88 Plus with that. You can also record audio directly there, save it and edit it, and also share it directly from those apps. So we've taken into account that everyone is out there trying to find their way in this new world, and we've put together some bundles on Shure.com. So we have solutions for educators, professors, lecturers, music educators. So you can check those out there, where we've combined some of our BLX wireless systems and our PGXD wireless systems with some of the Motive products like the MVI, as well as some headphones. So be sure to check those out, because we want it to be simple for you to find a solution. So we've made those recommendations for you there. And now I'm going to kick it back over to Vanessa, who's going to dive into some actual room examples so we can see how these products all work together. So Vanessa?
Thanks so much, Laura. I appreciate that. So we're actually going to go back and we're going to start looking at how we can use some of the products that we discussed earlier in some examples of rooms that you might find in your educational facility. So we're going to start with a lecture hall. And you'll see on the upper right-hand corner, this is a top-down view of this lecture hall. At the front of the classroom, we have our professor or our teacher. And what we want to do in this space is we actually want to reinforce their voice to the students. So we're going to give that professor a body pack transmitter, and we're going to give him something from the Axient digital line. Maybe we're located near a city or in a city. We have a lot of wireless channels in our particular campus. So we're going to go with Axient digital. And in this example, that microphone, either paired with a lapel or lavalier type microphone or a headset microphone, will allow us to pick up their voice and route it out to the speakers in the classroom so that the students can hear. Again, this is just a simple voice reinforcement system. But what if we wanted to provide distance learning? In this example, we're going to put an MXA 910 ceiling array microphone in the classroom. And we've placed it just below that first row, closer to the second row. And you'll see that blue line. Now that blue line represents the cabling path, the Ethernet cable path, going back to the PoE switch. So a single cable from that 910 to the PoE switch will provide our power, our audio, and our control. Now, what we want to do with the onboard steerable coverage is we're actually going to aim lobes in a very direct way to pick up the front of the classroom. So you'll see here we have those green lobes picking up the front of that lecture hall. And what we're going to do in this case, as you can see on the system diagram on the left-hand side, we're going to use a P300 to allow us to route that near end audio, the audio from within that classroom, to the far end. So we're going to send that audio that's locally there in that classroom to the far end with the P300. And then from there, we're going to receive back the far end audio and send it out through the speakers in the front of that lecture hall. Now the P300 gives us the ability to support soft codecs as well as hard codecs. And really the benefit of moving to the MXA 910 in this application is that it allows your professor to move freely through the front of the room. There's no need for microphone technique, no need to worry about disposable or rechargeable batteries. This is a seamless experience. This is a touch-free experience in this lecture hall. What if we needed to provide reinforcement in the classroom in addition to the distance learning that we just discussed? We could add an additional 4 MXA 910s, and you'll see here we have 2 in the front on the right and left-hand side, and then we have 2 also closer to the rear. What we're going to do is we're going to use the front 3 arrays, again, to pick up that professor area. We'll use the middle array to pick up the middle of rows 2 and 3. For those seated on the left-hand side, we'll use that front left array, and we'll position those lobes so that we can pick up those students all the way on the left-hand side, and those that are on the left-hand side of rows 1 and 2. We'll do the same on the right-hand side. And for those that like to sit in the back, we'll use those rear arrays to pick up those students on rows 3 and 4. Now at this point, we've covered that entire lecture hall with those 5 arrays. We have consistent coverage regardless of where students is seated. So this allows for social distancing protocols to be maintained. It's also touch-free, which is important these days. Now let's talk a little bit about reinforcement. So if I wanted to reinforce the professor's voice, again, I'm picking him up or him or her through those front 3 arrays and route that back to the students, the problem becomes using those in the front, those speakers in the front of the room. Unfortunately, what we would get would be feedback, and the system would be very unusable very quickly. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use a zoned speaker system to provide what's called voice lift. So in this example, we would use a series of network speakers, something like the MXN 5C. And before we talk a little bit further about this, I just want to take a step back and differentiate between voice lift and what's known as sound reinforcement or public address. So sound reinforcement or PA type systems really are defined to amplify sounds, including voices, to such levels that they can be understood very, very far away and in a very noisy environment. So think back to the last time you were at a concert. That speaker or that tower of speakers is really kind of blasting that audio out just so it can reach that guy that's in the lawn seat all the way in the back. Voice lift, by comparison, is just intended to restore natural speech levels from a talker to the farthest listener in the room. This does require very careful planning to ensure that your audio is routed to the proper place and also ensure that there's no feedback. So let's talk through this example a little bit. So we've got those front 3 arrays picking up that professor as in the previous example. And what we're going to do is we're going to reinforce that audio to the farthest listeners. Those farthest listeners are in the last 2 rows. So those guys are going to get that audio at the maximum possible volume level. We will then drop that volume level down as we get closer. So those kind of in the middle will get a lower level, and those even closer, those on the extreme sides, will get an even lower level yet. Now, those that are in the front row don't need any reinforcement. Again, we're just making up for what we lose in distance. They can hear the professor clearly, they're close enough. So we want that student in the last row to hear just as well as that student in the front row. Now, if a student in the back of the classroom asks a question, we're going to have the rear right array pick up that question, and we're going to send that question to those in the front of the room. Obviously, they're farther away at a higher volume level, and that volume level will drop as we get closer, and it'll drop even further as we get closer to that student. Again, those that are seated right next to that particular individual who asked the question don't need any reinforcement. Again, we're just making up for what's lost in distance. And this is similar if someone on the other side of the last row asks the question. Very low levels of reinforcement closer to that talker, and it increases the farther away you go. Again, we're just making up for what's lost in distance. This does require proper planning and configuration, but the benefit here is this can also be used for distance learning. So what we have in this case is a high quality solution that supports both touch-free audio and social distancing. So regardless of where the student is seated, they will hear their professor clearly and they will hear one another clearly. And we're able to also support remote learning with this particular application. So let's take a step down and just look at a large classroom. So in this example, we want to provide distance learning, and we also want to maybe capture that lecture audio. So in this example, we're going to use instead the MXA 710 instead of the 910. Maybe the ceiling architecture does not allow for us to use the MXA 910 ceiling array. So we've placed 2 of the MXA 710s in the ceiling, and they are perpendicular to that front wall. With the onboard steerable coverage, we're able to actually steer lobes to pick up students in rows 1 through 5. The professor themselves will get a body pack transmitter with a headset or a lapel type microphone. And that audio will then be routed to the far end with a P300. And the far end audio will come back into the room with the MXN 5C network speakers that are in that classroom. The system configures very quickly with Shure's Designer, and it can also be remotely monitored and managed with Shure's System On. Now, if we wanted to make this touch-free, so to speak, we could remove that SLXD body pack and add in an additional MXA 710 to the front of the room to cover that professor. Again, here we have touch-free, consistent coverage of this entire classroom. We're able to support remote learning. We're also able to support lecture capture. And the nod here is really to the scalability and flexibility of the Shure solution. Let's talk about a medium classroom, and maybe this is a reconfigurable space. And let's go with the MXA 910 in this example. We want to pick up the voices. We also want to use this for lecture capture. So we're going to put 2 MXA 910s in the ceiling. We will use that rear array to cover the rear 2 rows. And that rear array will also cover the front of the classroom where the teacher or the professor will be working. That front array will cover the first 2 rows. And here we have very, very consistent coverage throughout the room. Of course, we could use the P300 to support remote learning if we wanted to. We've got USB and also analog connections for hard and soft codecs. This is a reconfigurable space, perhaps. So our arrays are going to stay in the same spot. So those MXA 910s will remain where they were in the previous example. But what we're going to do is we're going to recall a different preset. And that can support a different seating layout. So here again, we have very, very consistent coverage. You know, it's identical coverage and quality to the previous example. If we had maybe a medium-sized classroom where we couldn't place a microphone in the ceiling or on the ceiling, we could use the MXA 710 on the wall. So we've placed that next to the display. It's on the left-hand side. And this is being used to pick up the students for distance learning. And we have for the professor an SLXD4. Again, that's a body pack transmitter with a headset or a lapel type microphone. And very similar to the large classroom example that we went through, we're going to use the P300 to route that audio locally from the classroom to the far end and receive back in that far end audio via the P300, which is going to our MXN 5C networked speakers. So very, very flexible solution. If we wanted to make this touch-free, we could add in an MXA 710, place these in the ceiling, and again, we're able to support the same application. If this was a soft codec space, we could of course use IntelliMix Room on that soft codec PC in that space. If we wanted the MXA 910 ceiling array, we could of course swap out those MXA 710s for the MXA 910s. Very, very flexible solution with very high quality, consistent coverage. Now, what about a smaller room? Maybe this is in, a library, or maybe this is just a kind of a project room. In this particular space, we're going to use 2 of the MXA 310 table array microphones, and we're going to use that steerable coverage and maybe some of the different polar patterns on board to capture those students seated around that table. Now, we can use a room PC, which is running our soft codec application with IntelliMix Room, or we can use a P300, and this will support our distance learning in this particular example. Now, this example here is a library study space or maybe just a huddle room. And in this case, we're basically scaling down the solution from the previous small room that we discussed. So we're going to use just a single MXA 310 on the table. Again, we'll steer those lobes as we need to. We've got a single MXN 5C network speaker above the table. And in this space, we've got a display with a camera. And this is a Zoom room, right? This Intel NUC that you see there, that is running the Zoom Room application. But it's also going to run our IntelliMix Room audio processing software, so we can have that noise-free, echo-free audio in this library study and huddle room space. So very scalable in terms of the components within the system. What about spaces that don't have any dedicated AV infrastructure? So in this example, we're going to use MXCW, which is our wireless discussion system. Now you'll see on the left-hand side of this theater, I guess, we have the MXCW APT. Now that's your access point. That could also be used on a mic stand for a more portable type application. You'll see we have desks that are socially distant. They are spaced out appropriately. We've given each of those individuals an MXCW 640. Again, that has a gooseneck and an integrated speaker. So it is a complete sound solution right at their fingertips. You have the ability to, if a student in row 1 is speaking, those in row 4 will receive that audio through the speakers on their device. So everyone can very clearly and easily collaborate within this space, regardless of the space between them. This allows for us to maintain, again, all of our social distancing regulations. Another quick example here, we have maybe a mobile cart where, again, there's no dedicated AV infrastructure in this space, but we've outfitted this cart with a display. We have a camera. We've also given this mobile cart an MXA 710, so that array is mounted to that cart. We've got a PoE switch, and in this case, we are using IntelliMix Room. So this is a soft codec application. So it could be MS Teams, it could be Zoom. And in this example, we are going to use the peripherals on that Intel NUC to route our far end audio. So if we're in a soft codec call, so if we're in a Zoom call, for example, that MXA 710 audio from within that room will be routed to the far end, and that far end audio will come back in, and we're actually going to use the HDMI out from that Intel NUC or that Windows PC, and we're going to connect that to the display monitor. And that display monitor has speakers built into it. So we're going to be able to send that far end audio to the speakers in the display, eliminating the need for us to bring in any external speakers in this particular example. This will support all of your video conferencing, distance learning, and lecture capture applications in a portable format. Now, what about solo applications? Laura took us through the Motive family. These products are extremely portable. They're very easy to use, plug and play. They connect to iOS, Mac, and PCs. These are great for podcasting, but they're also great for lecture recording and personal video conferencing. So really great, high quality personal devices. And really with that, that's the end of our room examples. We hope that that was a helpful overview of those high quality audio solutions for your educational facilities. The Shure solution offers flexibility and scalability for smaller classrooms all the way up to your larger lecture halls, providing that consistent high quality audio for distance learning, lecture capture, and sound reinforcement while maintaining all of those social distancing regulations. At this time, we will take a minute to answer any questions that may have come up. I would invite you also to open up your mobile device. If you open up the camera on that, we have a couple QR codes there for you, so you can actually follow up with our sales team if you scan the first QR code. If you're interested in those exciting bundles that Laura mentioned, that is the middle QR code. And lastly, we'd like you to sign up for our newsletter. If you're interested, please use your camera to scan the QR code on the right-hand side. And with that, we really thank you for your time today, and we look forward to taking this opportunity to answer any questions.
Great. Lots of great information, ladies. Thank you. All right, let's dive into the questions here. In part 1 of the webinar lecture theater application scenario with the 5 MXA 910 ceiling mics and Dante speakers, where was the speaker zone control taking place to give audience voice lift? Is that built into the kit shown, or was there additional kit involved? Are there any Shure application notes available covering this application?
Great question. So if you're interested in discussing that further, you can reach out to myself. You can scan the QR code and reach out to our sales team. We also have a really great support team. There was external hardware required for that. So there was a DSP with the capabilities to do, all of your different speaker zones, and that was not shown in that particular example. But we're happy to help you walk through that, or we're happy to help you with any application that you might have.
And we've also done a webinar about VoiceLift. So if you want to learn more about VoiceLift, you can just check our webinar archives and search for the VoiceLift webinar, and you should get more information there as well. All right, next question. Is there any limit to the number of MXA 710 mics that can be used in a single system?
That's a great question as well. So that really depends on the room, and it also depends on your processing needs. So really, there's no easy answer. You know, with the P300, you know, you could most definitely do 4, possibly more if the room is well behaved and acoustically treated. But it kind of really depends on your application and really what you're looking to do. IntelliMix Room, if you're looking to go with the soft codec application, does offer up to 16 channels. So there are a number of varieties, and as I mentioned before, we most likely have a solution for your application. So please feel free to reach out if we can help.
Great. Are there any plans for making SLXD work with Wireless Workbench?
That's a great question as well. We're always working on new solutions, and I know that we have added it to certain tools that we have available on Shure.com, but nothing solid at this point.
And we're always working on expanding and improving our software. So even though it's not available right now, we can't really tell you if and when, but we do realize that that is something that our customers are wanting. All right, next question. Any idea when the MVIs will be shipping again?
Another great question, and they are coming steadily into the channel, so we ask that you be patient, but they are currently being produced, and we are working our hardest to fulfill, so stay tuned and hang in.
Great. Is Motive for only iOS, or are there options for Android or USB-C?
There are options for both. The MV88 is specifically for iOS only because it does have a Lightning only connector, but all of the other Motive devices can work on multiple platforms. You just want to be sure to check our compatibility on Shure.com to make sure that it works with your particular Android device. But yes, certain models like the MV88 Plus comes with a USB-C cable as well as a Lightning cable, so you're set there.
Great. And it is device dependent. If you go to Shure.com on the MV88 page, there is a Motive compatibility chart that you can go through to check the compatibility with your device. So we'd highly recommend visiting Shure.com and checking that out as well. All right, next question. I have 5 ULXD4Q G50 on Dante. Can I use Wireless Workbench while on the Dante network, or do I need to take them all off of Dante to use Wireless Workbench?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You shouldn't have to take them off of the Dante network, depending on your network topology. You know, there is an Ethernet port there, and depending on your configuration, there shouldn't be a need to drop off of the Dante network. If you have specific questions, we're happy to help you out with that. I would maybe suggest reaching out to the support team.
And I'll also say regarding Dante, our pro team is actually doing a webinar this Friday on workflows focused on using Dante. So if you want some more information on Dante, that also might be a good option for you to check out. If you go to Shure.com/webinars, the registration link should be available there to sign up, and it's Friday, like I think at about 11 or noon. So great. All right, next question. Is there a demo available for IntelliMix Room software?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yes, absolutely. So I would recommend following up with Shure directly on the IntelliMix Room product page on our website. You can actually enter your information, and that will ping our team to follow up with you so that we can get you an evaluation of IntelliMix Room.
Fantastic. Next question. What is the MSRP for the MXA 710?
That's a great question. I don't know that I know that off the top of my head.
I would say maybe scan that first QR code, and that way you can get in touch with your local Shure sales representative to find out pricing availability in your region. Okay. Next question, also about the MXA 710. Is the MXA 710 working natively with Zoom Room?
So the MXA 710, that's a great question, is a Dante device. So if you are using something like our IntelliMix Room software application to process that audio with a Zoom room, that system will work with Zoom. So it really kind of depends on your processing. there, but it is compatible with Zoom, if that makes sense.
Great. All right, this next question is a little confusing, but I'll just set it out there and maybe Vanessa, you can answer it. Should either AEC in MXA 710 or AEC in P300 will turn off the soft AEC in Teams or Zoom? So I think there's a question about the AEC in the products versus the AEC in the connection software.
Ah, interesting. So AEC, I guess the question is more, the double AEC that could happen if you're using P300 with Teams or Zoom. I know in Zoom that you can turn on original sound, and that I believe defeats AEC. But I do know that, sometimes if there is echo, that their AEC might engage. So it depends. There's not a hard and fast rule. And of course, we at Shure are doing specific things with our microphones, and we are working with the strategic partners to ensure that, there's not an issue when we're using our products with their products. So yeah, I don't have specifics on Teams and Zoom, but we can talk about that offline, I guess.
And our support team should also be able to help you out with that question. And you can reach them either by going to shure.com/contact or emailing support@shure.com. We've got a great team that can answer questions across a lot of audio topics. So that's shure.com/contact to fill out, open up a ticket, or email support@shure.com. And with that, I think that wraps up all the questions. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you learned a little something, and we hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone.